Hello everybody from Plant Review. Today I will talk about the so-called Iris hoogiana or hoogiana Clete. The Iris hoogiana is a species in the genus Iris, so the same genus of bearded iris and beardless irises. That comes from the central part of Asia, very common in Turkestan, where the first specimen of the species arrived to Netherlands and then in England. The species was described by Dykes, and it is dedicated hoogiana indeed from Hogg, the surname of the brothers that were the manager of the Van Tumbergen plant nursery, to which the botanist Dykes dedicated the flowers. They sent him some specimens of this plant. This, like all the Regelia iris, is an aerial iris, therefore the seeds have like a creamy protuberance on the seed that is the so-called aerial, and this is a trait in common with the Onchocyclus iris of the Middle East. The rhizomes are quite thick and, as you can see, fleshy and somewhat slender. This iris spreads through stolons, and then the new rhizome grows at the end of the stolon. You can see a new shoot is spreading here, and this is a trait in common with the Iris stolonifera that I have here and was in bloom already a couple of days ago. The Iris hoogiana Clete instead started blooming just today. The flower opened up. The leaves are glaucous leaves, about sword-like most irises. However, they are much narrower, as you can see in this species, in comparison to the most common Iris germanica, bearded iris flowers. Bearded iris species in the hybrids. The flower stem, the leaves are about 35-50 centimeters tall, and the stems, the flower stems, are about 40 to 60 centimeters tall. And the flowers are in the wild species, they come in various shades of blue, lilac and lavender. Some specimens collected in the wild can be also white. The beards are generally yellow or orange. I'd like to describe this species as one of the most beautiful iris species ever to have been seen in a cultivation. The flowers are scented. I would say the floral fragrance. It's not very strong, the fragrance, but surely very pleasant, like also the stolonifera iris. Sorry for the camera, sometimes is a bit blurred. Dykes described the species in the Gardener's Chronicle in 1916. This species has been awarded the Royal Cultural Society Award of Garden Merit in 1994. The species grows very well in full sun, and in a soil needs to be very well drained. It is considered hardy in UK. However, as the stolonifera is a species tried to grow in the garden, but possibly because the place was not ideal, or possibly because we had a terrible snowfall that year, didn't survive the winter, so I lost the plants. These are plants that they ordered. These plants, the hoogiana and the stolonifera, ordered last autumn for rareplants.co.uk, and I am very pleased of how they came up and bloomed. It's very important that to put the iris in a shelter position. I placed the pot this winter in a cold greenhouse, and I water them very sparingly, probably once every 2 months. And this is probably the best way to keep these kind of irises if you're a bit unsure of the weather conditions in your area. I didn't find any problem in the cold greenhouse, and it's very important anyway. They are still able to receive a lot of light in winter as well as obviously spring when they are to put the leaves and then bloom. The plants are very seldom available on purchase in garden center. I've never seen iris species available in garden centers. However, it is somewhat not difficult to find online. I found about 3 sellers online in Europe to sell it, and even on rare plants, it's not a plant whose rhizomes usually get out of stock for these species. The Iris hoogiana Clete is a little bit different from the wild species. You can see there is no orange beard. The beard is bright. Well, it looks bright going on the flower. It is actually light blue, and it is a very elegant flower. This is possibly a mutant or possibly an hybrid of the actual species Iris hoogiana. That's the information I found on rareplants.co.uk. Basically, what you can find on the nursery website is that this plant was the plant from the region of Van Tumbergen stock. There were some seedlings, and one was very different from the other. It was called Antiope. Antiope was then bred, and some of its seedling first came up quite similar to the parent, so to the Antiope, but when they crossed together these seedlings, the plants showed a wide variety of colors. So this makes think that probably it might be a hybrid between the Iris hoogiana and another species, very probably the Iris stolonifera. As you can see, well, this is actually possible because there is no presence of the orange beard so typical of the hoogiana that the Dykes describes in the species, while this is substituted in by a light blue beard. Also, Iris hoogiana in the wild doesn't have any veining, and this is actually one of the features distinguishing Iris hoogiana in the wild from the Iris stolonifera, that is probably the closest species. However, the color is absolutely beautiful, so regardless it is a hybrid or a mutant of the wild species, I would definitely recommend this clone, the Clete, because the flower, even if it's on pastel colors that I'm not usually a really fan of, I think the combination is stunning. As you can see, the flower is veined all over, both on the standards, so on the petals of the iris, and on the falls, that are the sepals of the iris. In the center of both falls and standard is on the standards is a light lilac, while on the falls the lilac becomes more intense, almost purple, and the surrounding areas, both on the falls but especially on the standards, are richly veined in brown. The rest, as you can see, the rest of the color of the flower is, I would say, very light beige, almost grayish green. So the combination of these pastel colors is absolutely phenomenal, I think. And on the top of that, being the flower slightly fragrant is an obvious nice addition for a garden. If you want to try it in a garden, I would definitely say go for a rocky area with a very well drained soil. About the mixing potting mix I used, it is like as the stolonifera. I put the normal compost with some perlite to improve the drainage in the bottom two-thirds of the pot, while the rest of the pot was just full of grit. So the rhizomes need to be in about at least 3 centimeters far from the compost, so in a way that the rhizomes do not touch directly the compost, otherwise they might be prone to rotting. This is a technique I learned from a website where is mainly used in the Onchocyclus iris from the Middle East that are much more sensitive than the Regelia iris to rhizome rot. So definitely I would recommend, if you start keeping these irises, try in a pot first, and then once you have a few more rhizomes, when this plant expands, try some in the garden, because they are absolutely stunning flowers in the mid springs. The flower of the hoogiana usually are in bloom between April and June. It depends by the latitude where you cultivate the plant. In Kent, this iris bloomed today, 26th of April. So it is the mid-spring. I've never seen white flowers of the hoogiana. However, obviously that's another nice color. This you can add if you like this. The shape of the flower is very peculiar. It's very erect, very narrow, very similar to the stolonifera, as you can see. But I would say they are both very nice species. However, if you like pastel tones, I would probably recommend the hoogiana Clete, because the color is less strong than in the remaining varieties of the stolonifera, like this one. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope to see you in the next one. Have a good day. Bye.